I think it was a very exciting workshop, starting off with some very interactive discussions. So we actually covered 3 main topics in regard to factors for online learning. So one was around instructional design, the second one was around faculty training, and the third one was around evaluation and assessment. So one of the main outcomes, I think, when we talk about instructional design for online learning, one of the questions, I think, which was burning for all of us is, can we just take face-to-face and move it online? And I think the breakout group discussed that most probably that's not the best way to do it. So we still would need sound processes to develop our educational activities, rather be it online or face-to-face or blended activities. I think also there was acknowledged that online obviously is different than face-to-face. I think all of us know that. I think, for example, like timing-wise, so how do we do online? How many hours can we do it? How long should breaks be? These kind of things. Then I think a second thing was harnessing advantages of technology. I think everyone knows Zoom in the meantime, but there is other technology around that we have been using too. So I think there is also a flexibility needed. Then in addition, I think there are great opportunities to use social media in addition to traditional online learning platforms. And I think also that we maybe in the future, if we have a little bit more time in thinking about the design of activities, really do more blended activities, meaning the combination of live events with asynchronous activities and live synchronous activities. So that actually was around the first topic. Then the second topic, we talked about the evaluation and assessment part. And I think we had 3 main factors for success, which we felt it's very important that we really set KPIs before we start to measure whatever we measure, right? So really important to understand what we really want to achieve. And then in addition, we also felt that we had great opportunities to improve online assessments. As sometimes in the past we had face-to-face events and people needed to go online. So we had this split between online and face-to-face, and in a poor online setting, it may be the sequencing of activities is more seamless, also including assessment instruments and assessment activities. And then I think one of the biggest outcomes actually was, I think we're still learning. So there are great ideas around. And I think also here the most important thing is that we really start to even share more best practices in what we have been doing, sharing what have worked and maybe what didn't work so well. And then regarding the third topic, discussing on faculty training in an online setting, I think we figured out that even though if you have a lot of experienced faculty members and maybe some have done faculty development, they are very anxious about technology. So some success factors obviously would be to do kickoff meetings, to do trainings with small numbers of faculty members in order to get them engaged with the technology. People, they label it like a playground, or we, for example, label it as a sandbox. So faculty members, they have the opportunity prior to the events to go and try out the technology, clicking on all the buttons. So they don't need to do that afterwards. And I think a great example was actually this conference. So we had the opportunity in the past few days to figure out technology. So that's an important point. The other thing maybe also is that faculty members are aware that maybe their presence online is different from face-to-face. So they maybe put some thoughts on what is their background, how do I put my light, how do I want to be in an online setting. And then also, I think one important thing is that we try to make sure that faculty members really schedule their assignments properly, as we usually in an online setting is very difficult. We work from home, we have many other things to do. If we go to a place, we set this time aside to really be there and connected. And I think that was another thing to make sure to have faculty members on site in an online live setting. So I think the time was very short for the discussions, but we had many good discussions. So I also would like to thank my faculty members and the members of the Breakout for all their contributions.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much. No, it is really interesting to see how these meetings are evolving, and especially what you're saying about sort of faculty as well. You know, focusing on how they look and how they press the buttons is now becoming much more important than presentation skills that we'd have in a face-to-face meeting. Considering so many meetings take place in a similar kind of environment like this, is there sort of like one take-home message you can give on duration of days or presentations?
Well, I mean, to be honest, we still struggle a little bit with this. And I think that will be one of the important topics to figure out maybe from the experience in the past few weeks, but also in the future. I think one thing that we discussed that we probably, at least in a setting, we work with a lot with physicians and surgeons, we would never do a break of an hour, because after 1 hour they will disappear. So that would be one of the differences to this conference, which I think that's appropriate for this conference. But I think it very much depends on the context. And also one thing, I think the one skill that we learned this year was really being flexible, right? And that was another topic we briefly discussed. I think we got so flexible. So we need to go and try things. And then I think the important thing again is that we share this experience, what really worked and what did not. And then that also goes back to see how we can publish things and